Seeing Leona and Ziyu walking out, Charlie was not surprised at all in his heart. He had long felt that this matter was definitely not as simple as it seemed. Now, Leona and Ziyu will come out under Shred's coercion, and he has strengthened his views on this matter. It's just that Charlie didn't really want to understand yet, who would have spent so much effort and circled such a big circle to disadvantage Leona and Ziyu. At this moment, Leona and Ziyu, mother and daughter, had completely walked out of the gate of Treasure Pavilion. Shred held a gun in one hand and held the detonator tightly in the other, and followed behind the mother and daughter in one step. He raised his head and looked around, and sneered at the police officers around him and said, "I know you must have ambushed a lot of snipers around, and you are ready to shoot me at any time, but I still suggest that you consider carefully. Because of this detonator in my hand, even a 1-year-old baby can detonate it with a finger. If you are not afraid to die, just let a sniper shoot at me." Ross said coldly, "Shred, rest assured. As long as you don't act rashly, we will definitely not shoot you. Now the car is ready for you, you can leave this place anytime. But before you go, be sure to release the hostages." "Release hostages?" Shred smiled unscrupulously, and said contemptuously, "Do you think I am a 3-year-old child? I tell you, these 2 hostages will stay with me until I get rid of your tracking completely. If you know each other, if you do, don't send anyone to follow me. After I'm safe, I will naturally release these 2 people." Having said that, he changed his conversation and said with a cruel expression, "But if I find out that some of you are trying to follow me, then I will drive the car to the city center and press the detonator. 18 years later, you city will see a real hero." Ross's expression was so ugly and angry. He could only hold back the anger in his heart and said, "Don't worry, we will never send someone to follow you." Shred sneered and said, "Officer, you familiar?" After speaking, he immediately said to Leona and Ziyu, mother and daughter, "You 2 get in the car, sit in the back row." Leona did not dare to hesitate, pulling Ziyu into the back seat of Rolls-Royce. Holding the gun and the detonator, Shred swaggered into the cab. This Rolls-Royce was not stalled, as long as it was in gear, it could drive away. Therefore, Shred directly put on the forward gear and rushed towards the courtyard gate. Ross hurriedly ordered the policeman at the entrance of the courtyard to avoid the car. The originally encircled circle like an iron barrel immediately gave way to a passage. Shred stepped on the accelerator without hesitation, and the Rolls-Royce engine let out a low roar, even rushed out quickly and fled the scene at an extremely fast speed. As soon as Shred drove away, a police officer hurriedly came to Ross and asked, "Sir, do you want to let our plainclothes drive with behind him?" Ross hesitated slightly and said, "Shred has a very strong sense of counter-reconnaissance. If we really send a car to keep up, once he finds it, it may cause irreparable consequences." After speaking, he opened his mouth and said, "Let's call the city's traffic monitoring network first, and use the monitoring probes on the city's roads to track the whereabouts of Shred's Rolls-Royce in real time. If he leaves the city, then we arrange the police to deploy control in advance." At this moment, seeing that Rolls-Royce had disappeared, Isaac couldn't help sighing with regret, and said, "Master, if it is really like you said, if someone wants to be against Miss Leona's and daughter Ziyu, then the 2 of them are finished this time. I am afraid it's not good enough." Charlie nodded in agreement, and said, "The other party can carefully arrange such a big game and put in such a big play. It must be impossible to just scare them. The probability is to run. They are here to die." Isaac couldn't help asking, "Master, it is a matter of life, do you want to do it?" Charlie's expression was a little hesitant. A few seconds later, he shook his head gently. "Forget it, I have a grudge against the Su family, but now the grudge has not been reported, and the Su family has been saved several times. Yes, Jufei, Ziyu, and Ruoli. I saved each of the 3 Su family members once. If I still shoot today, the Sioux family owes me 5 lives. When Isaac heard this, he couldn't help but agree to say, yes, the hatred has not yet been reported, and as a result, you kept saving their family's people. God is really good at joking. Charlie couldn't help sighing. Hey, if something really happened to this aunt, then my father's house is going to be auctioned again, right? Isaac said. I don't know yet, Miss Leonas, whether the payment is completed and the formalities have been completed. If it is completed, the house will become her inheritance. If the formalities have not been completed, it is estimated that it is too late. In time it will return to the judicial auction. Charlie couldn't help frowning. If it becomes this aunt's estate, who is the first heir? Isaac said. I really can't say who is the first, but it must be her husband or her son, or half of them. Charlie gritted his teeth and cursed. Damn, how can the house where my parents lived, how can the bastard Zin account for half? Isaac hurriedly said. Why don't I ask someone to inquire later to see if this Leona's family has completed the formalities? Charlie nodded, and said sullenly, it seems that this can only be done. At this time, a white Rolls-Royce stopped in front of the two of them. A middle-aged man hurriedly walked out of the cab and said respectfully in front of the two of them, Master, Mr. Isaac, I brought the car here, you two see if you two drive away by yourself, or me. Isaac took the lead and said, Okay, I'll drive, you can take a taxi and go back. The other party hurriedly nodded respectfully. Okay, President, then I will go back first. Isaac took the initiative to open the rear door and said to Charlie, Master, please. Charlie gave a hum and stepped into the car. Isaac got into the cab and asked Charlie while starting the car, Master, where are you going? Go home, do you? Charlie thought for a while and said, Send me home. Okay. Isaac immediately drove in the direction of Thompson's. On the way, Charlie kept frowning. Isaac quietly followed Charlie's expression through the rearview mirror of the car, and couldn't help asking, Master, do you have something on your mind? Charlie nodded, propped his chin and said, I just don't understand, who will act on their wives? Isaac said, the Sioux family usually makes a lot of enemies. I don't know how many people hate the Sioux family. It is normal to find a chance to report to the Resurgent family. Charlie waved his hand and said, although the truth is correct, things are not like this after all. Everyone knows that Zin even took it to the Sioux family's father in order to avoid the limelight. Now he ran to Australia. In the future, there is a high probability that the Sioux family will no longer be inherited by him, so Zin's position tantamount to the deposed crown prince. Now, even Zin has lost power, and the status of his wife and daughter in the Sioux family is even less worth mentioning. In this case, if someone really wants to report to the revivalist, why bother to kill the wife so deliberately?